what's more intimate than that? And nothing like simulating deep car conversations in the middle of the night.
Right, getting it hot and steamy in the car.
But what I should say next is that we have a location that's currently being built. Not true. It's actually just a restaurant that we like, who is going to let us use their space next time. So it's the cozy car episode for this one, and maybe the next one. But after that, we should be good to go. So yeah, and without further ado, I'm Nason. This is
Natalie.
And we're two peeps who met each other at the gym, doing cardio and lifting weights. And now we chat, and we thought our conversations at the gym were so funny that we decided to, why not join in a YouTube video? So, yeah. For business background, I'm a producer in the film industry, and Natalie.
I work as an insurance administrator for an insurance company.
But on the social side, we're both busy social bees. Natalie goes out every weekend.
Yes, I do.
And I go out most days. So we like to talk. And we're going to be covering all the juicy details that come with going out and having fun and interacting with people. And yeah, that's kind of just where we're going to go.
Yep.
Have fun, talk about love, life, philosophy, all the things that make life dynamic and interesting. Absolutely. So, I figured the best thing that we could do this episode is just to go over some questions that the internet came back with as insightful things that are unsaid but true. And the first question that we have to chat about is, what's an unpopular opinion you actually believe?
Oh no, I'm gonna let you take the lead since.
Okay. Well,
and then I'll see what we can formulate.
Well, here is my unpopular opinion, but I believe it. Most people don't actually want success; they just want the illusion of effort.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people tell things right away, and then as you get to know them, you kind of see their true colors.
Yep.
As we talked about many times in different atmospheres. So I think that people actually do say that because they kind of want to, sound like they have something going on in their lives. You know what I mean? Like some sort of motivation and stuff like that to be successful, which everybody wants. But it's saying it and actually following through and doing the actions are completely separate, but they should go hand in hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everybody likes to talk about the ideal scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at it in like a work context, everybody wants to talk about grinding. Oh, I grind so hard. I work so hard. I make lots of money. Like that's what people talk about. But when it comes down to putting in the actual effort, and a great example is, oh well, there's a philosophical story that goes into a monk is at a temple and he's praying and a guy comes up to him and says, I want the focus that you have. And he said, okay, perfect. I'll meet you at the beach at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 a.m. comes and goes, and the monk's still sitting there. And then the guy shows up around 7 a.m. And he goes, oh, well, I want to, sorry, I'm late. I had to sleep. It was hard to get up this morning. And the monk's like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. And the cycle goes on like that. And that's just a perfect example of somebody who talks like, oh, I want this so bad. But when it comes down to actually doing the work and putting in the effort, it doesn't really get to that.
Yeah, and I think going on with that, I think that you actually do see that as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you get to know somebody and you get to talk to them about like different things that are going on in their lives, and you bring up that conversation, you're like, okay, so how's that coming along? That whatever it is that you're trying to succeed in or grow in or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, it's going, and you're like, okay, well, what have you done up until this point since we last talked? And then they'll be like, well, kind of just did this or whatever it may be, or like nothing. You know what I mean? So you're kind of like, okay, so you're all talk, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's also something interesting because I read an article and it talked about how be careful how often you talk about your goals,
mm-hmm.
because talking about it gives your body a similar feeling to experiencing it.
Yes.
And it actually dulls your progress and your focus down.
Yes.
Because, for example, say I want $1 million. Well, every time I say I want $1 million, I'm going to get $1 million, yada, yada, yada. I'm actually dulling that resolve and dulling that emotion that I feel internally about wanting to get this and feeling the need and feeling compelled to get this. And I always am curious now after learning that when people are like, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to get, and they talk about all the success they're going to have, I'm always curious, like, oh, is this you experiencing, achieving the goal without actually having to put the work into it.
Right. Now, reflecting on that, do you actually believe that people should move silently, as they say, right? So instead of actually vocalizing it out loud to everybody, you move quietly so that people see your successes, but they don't really, like, you can talk about it, but actually doing it, and like if people's questioning it, I mean, obviously you'll tell your close friends, your family, and whatever, up to whatever you want to, or how the extent of that. But in terms of like actually showing them step by step, I think people should keep that internally. Do you know what I mean? And not actually be like, okay, well, I got here from point A to point B, unless you're asked, right? Because then if you're successful, obviously people will want to know. That's, you know, your secret to success, whatever that may be. But I think people should actually like move quietly and silently in terms of like how of their process. Do you know what I mean? Up until a certain point. And then obviously, again, like if you want to tell certain people, that's your prerogative to do so.
I mean, I have two sides to we'll call it like the silent grind mindset or the grind set.
Yes.
I think it's very important to grind silently, but I think it's very important to grind silently at the beginning. Because at the beginning, especially when you're changing your life, that's when it's most critical. But at a certain point, you do have to start telling people your goals and where you're headed, because that's what's going to allow people to open up to you. Now, I'm not saying tell everybody your goals, because for the general public, you should be silent about. But when you find somebody who's aligned with your vision and you have a good feeling about, or somebody who is in a position that you want, that you are striving to get towards, I feel like you have to share some element of what you're trying to do, because that's a person who can be critical to helping you grow at a faster rate.
Yes.
And I know that from experience, like not doing the silent grind set and not telling anybody, well, you move really fast on your independent work, but on your networking side, you move really slow because you're not telling anybody anything.
Right.
So I remember, like, the best example of this is, like, I caught up with a friend who I hadn't seen since, like, high school. And I had been going in one very clear direction from high school, and I had switched that up maybe 6 months after leaving high school, maybe a year after leaving high school. And then, you know, we fast forward 2, 3, 4, I think it was like 3 years after that, maybe 4 years after high school, I finally catch up with this guy. And he's like, so how's business direction going? How's the computer science direction going? And I was like, whoa, like, I'm actually not doing any of that. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, yeah, like, I'm actually moving in this direction and working on this and doing the producing work and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, holy shit, I had no idea. And he's friends with me on social media. Like, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn together. And I post some things on LinkedIn, but it's almost always general reflections and nothing about what work I'm actually doing. And so from a social presence side, he thought I was in the same place that I was, versus me moving in a completely different direction and at an accelerated rate. And because I'm not sharing that, there's nothing wrong with it. I agree with it. I like moving in that way. I like the silent hustle, but it always makes me reflect when people are like, oh, this guy's better than at you than this. And it's like, well, no, that's not actually true, because he just talks more. Or he just says, oh, this is what I'm doing, or this is posting more stories on Instagram and everything. So he's showing off to the world more than he is. Than he is actually doing work. And that goes into the whole thing of, like, fake it till you make it. Well, I think it's interesting because everybody goes, oh, you shouldn't fake it till you make it. And I'm like, well, actually, part of it is faking it till you make it. I agree. Because you can't change your mind and, like, move in that direction until you've decided in your mind that that's who you are.
Yes.
And so if the difference between you being a runner and not being a runner is just saying, like, I'm a runner, well, fuck it, do it. I don't care. I think that's great that you can say something and will it into existence, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, next question.
All right. Oh, this one's really good. I was actually asking Liz this before we started.
All right.
What's something people pretend to care about but don't?
I'm going to let you handle all the questions and the answers, and then we'll go into it. Yeah.
So there was two. Liz had an interesting perspective, and then I had my side of this.
Okay.
So I have a general side of it and then a specific side. So I think people really don't care about your average person, like the average person they encounter in the world, as much as they tell themselves that they do. And furthermore, even more detailed than that, is mental health.
Yes.
And so all this to say, for example, you go to the gym in the morning, somebody's like having a rough day, and you're working out beside them and they're whatever, and then they decide to go, oh, I'm having a really rough day. Oh, okay, well that's terrible. That's not great. Are you all right? There will be some people, now I'm not saying everybody, there will be some people who care about that guy. But for the most part, I think that people will do the small talk the nonsense, say, well, take some rest and, really get back to it and you'll be okay. But don't actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even further than that, I don't think people care about the general mental health of people.
Yes.
In the example of someone says, oh, I'm depressed, people will go, oh, rest, relax, just take your time that you need.
Yeah.
When in reality, the person who actually genuinely cares will be hard with that person and say, oh, you're depressed? Well, maybe you should go to the gym.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go start a new hobby, start a new business. You should go to get a new job. Maybe that's your issue. You should take action. And I think it's kind of the whole thing of like, if somebody really cares about you and really loves you, they'll tell you where you're wrong and where you're lacking, because the sign of true love is caring about your development. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people don't care about the average person they encounter in the world as much as they might say, oh, well, I was really worried about so and so and all that stuff to sound good, right? Yeah.
Like you're more explaining like the well-being of somebody. Is that what you're getting at? Yeah, I feel like that is the same, that people don't really give a shit. Like honestly, people, it's just like saying like, how's the weather? Because there's really nothing else that you have that you can talk about, right? So I think that people don't really, the well-being of people, I really don't think that they care as much as they should. Obviously your close friends, they're gonna care, your family's gonna care and stuff like that, and they'll help you and they'll like give you support and whatever that you need. But in terms of overall, no, I firmly believe that well-being people don't give a shit about, honestly. And like sometimes I feel like people will be like, okay, well, what's going on with you in general, like how's work, whatever. And I think that when people get a promotion, this is a big thing for me, people don't give a shit about, honestly. I think for them, they're just like, oh, congratulations, but it's all smoke and mirrors, right? So whereas people, like, again, friendships, relationships, whatever those may be, how close they may be to people like you or me in general, there's a different level of respect for that person if they've moved up in that world. But I think that a lot of people, if you just talk to them in passing, they're like, oh, well, that's great, and then they'll just kind of like, now she's rolling in money or he's rolling in money, and and here I am, boo-hoo, I'm crying about like whatever it is, and you're the one that's stuck. But they've obviously done things to progress, right? Whether that be in the same career or the same field or whatever, but there's genuine care for that person. There's genuine, okay, let's go out and celebrate. Like there's that type of stuff. Like for example, I have a friend that just did that, right? She just got a new promotion. She starts next week. So I was like genuinely like, hey, that's great. We need to go out and celebrate, where people are just like, oh, that's great, and just kind of float on and mosey on. So yeah, it's unfortunate that people are like that, but that's just the way the world works. So. Yeah.
And then, and even Liz brought it to a higher world, or a higher perspective, and she said that she doesn't think people really care about just general, like, society. Yeah. Like in general, like unless they're being directly impacted,
that's right,
they don't really care. So like a genocide or a war or starvation or disease or wherever could be happening in the world, and as long as that isn't impacting them in any way, then they don't really care.
I agree with you on that, and further to that is I think that people don't really care about a lot of different things that are going on in the world, is because a lot of it, to be honest, I'm going to be honest and raw, obviously, like we are, I feel that it's a lot of negative stuff. Do you know what I mean? So again, how does that impact you? Like genocide, war, whatever is going on in different parts of the world, yes, it impacts those places in the world, those people, it affects a culture, whatever, but how is it directly affecting you?
Exactly. It's not.
It's not. So, I mean, are you making any money out of war? No, not really. That's not you. You know what I mean? Like, genocide, it's unfortunate that it's happening, but again, you don't know those people. And I'm not trying to say that that's anything bad, obviously, but I just feel like there's not enough people that have that human touch anymore, that humanity in them
that
anymore.
Connection. What's the word for that? That empathy.
Yes. I think that literally, and since COVID, that has all gone downhill.
I would agree.
All
I've noticed a huge distinction since COVID happened, just on the general well-being that people have, or that care, that empathy that they have for their average person.
Yeah.
On everything. Like you can see people suffering in the street. I mean, I know downtown. Toronto's not as bad as Vancouver, but Toronto still has the people downtown who could be suffering on the sidewalk. People will just walk by them, whatever, homeless, drunk, whatever.
That's right.
And there's not really that love or that care for everybody.
No, there isn't.
And to be fair, I get it. I mean, if you look a couple decades ago, like if something was happening across the world, you probably wouldn't hear about it. Now we're so connected by technology that you can't help but hear about it.
Yes.
And so I understand that there is a similar disconnect to what we've always experienced, but I feel like the level of care for each other has diminished significantly.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I think just in general, I think that I don't know how to get it back there, but I think everyone does definitely play a part in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well there's a whole conversation about how the society we live in, especially with like capitalism and everything, though it slowly is pushing everybody into their singular aspect of I'm just worried about me and only me. And so if we push that a little bit away from, I'm not saying go to socialism, like don't push it that far away from capitalism, but finding a happy medium where yes, money, whatever, that's our transactional currency, but also looking at maybe implementing like a bartering system or something like that where it gets back to people can barter their time or their effort or the goods that they create, something that brings back that level of interaction in the community.
Yes.
And which even extends to maybe we just need to implement more community aspects. I mean, everybody talks about how capitalism has really destroyed our third place, and maybe not even capitalism, but just the world, society has destroyed our third place. So now people have home, they have work, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't have like, oh, well, we actually all go down to the malt shop and hang out and drink our club sodas and
exactly.
like people don't have that, or they don't have the playgrounds, or they don't have the social clubs that they used to have.
Yes.
And so now everybody's like, they go between work and they go between home and work, and they don't have another place to go and meet new people and hang out. Now church can be a great one for people, and that has been for a long time, but I find a lot of people nowadays are moving away from that, and I think COVID kind of ruined that community aspect that was there.
Nice.
So yeah.
Next question.
Next question. All right.
Get it rolling, Nason. Let's go.
Okay. What's a rule in society that makes no sense?
Oh, I'm letting you take the lead on this.
Okay. This one, I was there was a couple answers that came to mind.
Okay.
And I thought this one would be the most not controversial, but semi-debative. Being humble. Everybody says be humble. Now, I agree with them. But this almost goes back to like the quiet grind. Is I feel like yes, you should be humble to an extent, and be humble in person. Like I think it's a Frank Kafka quote, and it talks about how in war be a monster, in life or in business crush everybody, but when you touch a human soul, just be another human soul. And I think that when you're going out and you're going to dinner, I think there is an amount of humbleness that you should bring with yourself to interact with people on a daily basis, and that level of respect. But oh my God, if you're a rich person and you got money, and you know that the reason you're rich is because you came up with the brand new invention that's the best thing since sliced bread, fucking say that you're a genius because you did that. That's okay, because you are a genius who's cracked the code. That's okay to say that. I don't think you need to be humble about that. If it's true, it's true. Like, I know how to do this better than anybody else. That's okay. But be humble when it comes to interacting with a human, and that comes more into respect, I would say.
I don't think a lot of people have that, though.
That's what I mean, right?
Again, right? Like, it's like, again, going back to, like, our earlier discussion, a lot of people talk a lot of crap. Like, a lot of people say that they know what respect is. They know what that definition is. But when you see actions come out that don't show that, that's when you're kind of like ring-a-ding-ding in your head. Like, as we talked about, red flags going... You know what I mean?
Red flags everywhere.
So, exactly. So it's, again, yes, I agree. Humble should come with a form of respect, but I mean, that can get blown out of the water real quick. You know what I mean?
Right. So I guess this is it turns more into, make sure that when you say the words be humble, it's more along the lines of be respectful, and don't push ego outwards rather than. I don't know.
I'm sorry, a lot of people have a lot of ego. I don't give a shit.
Well, this is
what
it.
you tell me.
Right. Don't have ego. Yeah.
And sometimes I just feel like pop.
Yeah,
Need
it's
to take you
true.
down a couple levels here because your
yeah.
head is just exploding, and that's not good.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yes.
What is a piece of wisdom that's actually kind of messed up? Any sentences? Any phrases?
None that come to mind at the moment right now. Maybe as you talk and as you
What do you think of? What do you think of? Money doesn't buy happiness.
Oh, I agree and disagree on that. Obviously, if you're coming from like rags to riches, then yes, it does definitely buy happiness 1,000%.
Oh yeah.
We all know that. But when it comes down to, having the things that you want and flaunting it, because there's that other spectrum to it, clearly you're an ass. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, just buy that. Like, my eyes closed or whatever. Like, obviously, that's just, you're being a dick. You know what I mean? Like, you're being a complete asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And flaunting that. But doing it in a way that, again, is humble. Because there's a lot of actors out there. Like, one that I really respect is, like, Keanu.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about
Keanu
this.
Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, because he definitely, like, goes on the what do you call it? The subway.
Right.
He's very, like, humble. He'll sit. He'll feed the pigeons. He'll talk to people. He's an actual, like, person. Like, a real down-to-earth person.
Mm.
That doesn't go... Obviously, we all know he makes millions of dollars. But he's not one to be, like, flashy with his stuff.
Right.
And grant you, like, obviously, in terms of being flashy, there are times when you need to be like that, clearly, but it doesn't necessarily have to be distasteful.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like, I think that it goes both ways. I don't know how. I'm sure you maybe feel like that. You're wrong.
Right. No. I mean, I agree with you. I think money doesn't buy happiness is, like, I know what the meaning behind it is,
Yes.
and it's supposed to just be like, if you have critical flaws with your social circle or your family or you as an individual, buying more stuff, having more things, having more money isn't going to make a difference.
That's right.
Because there's critical things that you have to address.
Yes.
And so if you make money your prerogative, well, that's not necessarily going to be the thing that results in happiness. But on the other side, how I would change the sentence to make it make sense is, yes, money doesn't buy happiness, but money buys freedom, and that is happiness.
Yeah, I guess, again, it's like, what is your freedom, right? Everybody has, every word, there's a definition to what it means to you and what it means to me, right? So yes, it does give you some form of freedom, obviously, right? Because like, you can easily pay for things, pay for bills, not be in debt, as most of society is.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, I think, money can bring happiness, as we're going back to that again. But again, it depends on how you handle that as well, right? Money can come in your way, one hand. When we've heard many stories of people winning the lottery multiple times, millions of dollars, and then like broke ass like the next year, within 6 months, right?
Because that's a financial literacy.
Yeah, they've just mishandled things, right? So, but yes, it can bring happiness, but again, it can also bring a side that is not good, obviously. Like we know, right? Whenever somebody wins something big, people are knocking on your door, long lost cousin, long lost uncle. It's like, who the hell are you? I don't know you.
Where's my money? Remember when I helped you
back
when you were 3, change your diaper?
Right, and I'm like, no, I don't remember.
I don't remember that,
You kind of like slam the door next. But no, and it's just, I think money, it does bring a lot of good and bad things. I mean, everybody's different when it comes down to that, right? Like, obviously, people who haven't seen dollar signs like that in their bank account, they're obviously not going to know what to do with that, right?
Right.
A lot of them will just go out and just spend their money freely and do whatever the heck they want. But again, it depends on everybody's idea of that, you know what I mean, and what they decide to do with that, and how they decide to like go into the process of spending it, not spending it, saving it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. Is there any other like phrase or anything like that you can think of? That was a good one, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. No, do you have one?
I was still trying to think while we were talking, and I was like, oh, what other phrases have I heard before that are like...
I think you kind of go,
Yeah, that you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That's a really good one, because we talk every day, and I'm like, I don't. It's like I'm stumped.
Yeah, I mean, I have our good a good last question for us.
Yes, go on.
Do I have a last question?
I think I have one more question.
Technically have two
Okay.
more. No, I have one more.
Okay.
Okay, this goes back into more of a personal story.
Okay.
When is a time
Oh no.
you've totally faked being wise?
Oh my goodness.
You've given advice not really knowing the advice?
Yeah, there's been lots of times doing that, thinking that, yeah, I'm a know-it-all. I've done that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Right,
You
full
see
of
it in
shit.
How about with kids? Because you have kids. I don't have kids. But
Yes.
you have kids.
Yes.
Have you done it with kids before?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's not what you should do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you know full well that.
Yeah. I've definitely done that more than one occasion. I think as parents, we all do that just so we're trying to teach our kids right from wrong. But technically, it's like we don't know shit about that. It actually happens or never has happened, right? So yeah, I think there's many instances, even with like people, like friendships, or like people that I've been with in the past or whatever. And yeah, I've done things or said things that I'm like, yeah, I'm full of hot shit, but they don't know that. So I just keep rolling with it.
Meanwhile, inside you're like, oh my god, I just made all of that up. I hope it doesn't result poorly for you. Oh my god, yeah.
Or hope it doesn't reflect as our relationship grows or our friendship grows. And you see that I'm full of crap.
Yeah, you're like, you say that, and then you're like, oh, and keep me updated how that goes. And they like call you back one day, and they're like, wow, that was so great. Like, thank you so much for the advice. And you're like, I just, it's hard being the best. What can I say, right?
You, same thing?
Yeah, and I like 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's interesting because like sometimes you have to use the personal experience to really get somebody understanding it. Because what I was going to say is I was going to turn this even more into a moment where I've been bullshitting and I've had a moment of clarity for myself.
Okay.
So like I mean, it really depends situationally, but like there have been times when I'm talking about life, relationships, what somebody should do to solve a problem in their business, or getting a question about work and telling them how they should move accurately and efficiently to fix that. Mm-hmm. And there's been so many times where I'm like, oh my god, I don't have the answer to this question. But I can't just sit here and be like, oh yes, I'm this experienced person and I have no idea. Okay. So I'm like, let's see. And then you start going on this tangent. Yeah. And what's always funny is when you go on the tangent and you say the right few words together, and it's almost like your brain clicks in a way, and you go, oh my god, that is the answer. And so it turns from almost spewing bullshit into spewing the right ideas. Yeah. And it's always funny when you end those sentences. Now this is the full bullshit ones when you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. It's always funny when you end it as like, but obviously I don't know everything, so take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. And so, you throw the liability off.
Right? Okay, so I guess the question goes to you is, have you ever bullshitted to me about stuff before? Because I'm sure you have. And lied. Lied to me.
I think I do this not often, but I think the only thing that comes to mind is sometimes I'll like have an opinion on something and I'll quote like an article that I read when in reality like I didn't quote an article. This is just like something I came to the conclusion of.
So do I have to fact check
no.
you?
I'll get all my citations going. So you can be like, that sounds like bullshit, and I can be like, actually, an article. No, okay. I don't think anything outside of that. Okay. Yeah, that's probably the only one that I do. Because sometimes I know that it's such a fringe thing that if I just say it as an opinion, people are going to be like, yeah, but how do you know that? And I'm like, well, but it's true to an extent. Like, you don't have to believe it. But if I say, hey, in the presence of this article, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, that's interesting. And then they actually think about it versus being like, yeah, you're full of shit. So, how about you?
No.
No. Okay.
Actually, everything that we've talked about and everything that I have said has pretty much been like an experience that I've had.
Yeah.
Right. So
some insight.
Yeah, some sort of insight and stuff like that. I try not to come up with bullshit. Because sometimes when I talk to you, I'm sure you're like, I don't know. I still have a little shit going on early in the morning. But like, no, I really don't. No, I haven't really said anything that would, reflect something that isn't true.
No, and I don't think you've ever said anything that's striked me as like bullshit.
Yeah, or like odd or anything like that.
No, there's never been a moment where I've been like, oh, that's fucking shit. No, like it's always like, you can always kind of, especially because we were at the gym. For everybody who doesn't know, we're at the gym like at 4 or 5 a.m. Well, I think 5 a.m. is a consistent time. Yeah. 5 a.m. in the morning, so that's almost like the no bullshit time.
Yes.
Where everybody's just authentically themselves. If they're in a shitty mood, they're in a shitty mood.
Yeah.
If they're just like working out, they're working out. If they're happy and bubbly and chatting, then that's just how it is. And I think that there's that authenticity there. And everything you talk about, I can see is the dynamics of going through the days, whether it's through relationships or through people or a new update on something. It's kind of like, oh, this bastard. Oh, life is so good, right? And so I'm like, oh, this is the trials and tribulations of just living life. So I don't think I've ever been like, oh, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, which is good. So
yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
And on that note,
yes,
that's it. That's the first episode.
Yes.
Done.
Great.
So everybody,
great episode.
So everybody, stay tuned. There's gonna be more episodes of Oddly Juicy.
Absolutely.
And as we extend and grow, we're gonna get more people on. So we're gonna get friends. We're gonna get family. We're gonna get who else? I mean, that's, I guess, 2 categories. We'll get strangers. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that we didn't get any strangers banging on the windows asking to give their 2 cents for this episode. But yeah, we'll do. I think we can extend into street interviews. Yeah. We can extend into what we really want to do is sit in restaurants and get random people's opinions from tables. And I think on our next episode we should talk about relationships.
Yes.
Relationships, juicy. We can talk about long distance relationships.
Oh,
the positive and the negative.
Oh my God! You're pointing me in the negative. Thanks. I've tried. I'll admit that I've tried. That's all I can say about that.
But it'll be juicy, because welcome to Oddly Juicy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm Nason. This is Natalie. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.